Back once again, folks, with Cape Ann today. Erika Brown joins us once again. She's the publisher and editor of The Cricket, our favorite paper over in Manchester and Essex. How you doing, Erika?
I love that we're your favorite.
Okay, starting off on a serious note, Erika, the Attorney General recently found violations with the open meetings in Manchester, as well as certain emails. We want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't cover it this week. Actually, that was carried by the Gloucester Times. Mike Cronin did a great job covering that. I had heard it in the BOS meeting. Greg Federspiel, the town administrator, actually, reported back to the BOS. This apparently stems from a series of open meeting law violations that the AG found. It wasn't like it might have happened. It was definitely happened with two boards, the ZBA and the Conservation Commission. And it had to do in 2020 with the hearings that were going with the highly controversial Sober House, which is at the end of Crooked Lane. And I mean, it was a real problem going in, and the board members apparently violated open meeting laws with some emails. I'm going to be attending tonight. Actually, it's on the agenda to discuss it on the Concom, and I'm particularly interested in that because in the article from the Gloucester Daily Times, Sarah Mellish, who is the chairman of the ZBA, she actually spoke with Mike, and that I actually give her a lot of credit for that. And so she spoke with him, but the truth is there were four meetings, as opposed to two meetings with the ZBA, there were four Concom meetings that were problematic. And so they're going to be discussing it tonight, and I'll probably do something in the paper this week about it. But it was really kind of interesting. Attorney General's office kind of slapping the wrist of Manchester for not really following protocol on open meeting laws. And the truth is, it probably happens more than you think. It's just that you don't have this kind of activist person who's sending in hot, tips and emails, copies of emails to the Attorney General's office. But that's pretty much what happened.
So, Erika, it was unclear to me in the article whether these meeting violations were they happened because this is such a sensitive case, or was it just, I'm going to use your word, sloppiness?
Well, I think it was, and sloppiness is a little bit of a harsh word, but it's true. I think what it is it's easy for people who volunteer and work on these boards, elected or not. It's hard for them to remember that there are, sort of things that you have to really remember. And this was a controversial project. And so as a result, it sort of inspired a lot of chatter. And I think people forgot that, they were actually emailing about business that should have prompted an open meeting law. Now, this becomes very, very important when you're talking about the ZBA or the Conservation Commission, because these aren't elected boards, they're appointed, right? Mm-hmm. Unlike, say, the planning board, well, actually, I shouldn't say it that way. Unlike the Historic District Commission or something like that, this is actually a fiduciary, like not a fiduciary, but it's actually, they have laws that they actually have to enforce, state laws and local bylaws. And so it's very, very important that they stick. And I think that's probably why the AG's office looked so closely at it, because this is something where the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Conservation Commission, those are both very, very important things. They enforce laws. And as a result, that's why you have to look at this.
Mm.
All right, moving on, Erika. There's been a big change at Cape Ann Savings Bank.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this a long time ago because there was an announcement that Robert Gillis, the president of the Cape Ann Savings Bank, was going to be retiring this year. After 40 plus years at the bank, I think he's been the president maybe for 10 years or something, but he's been with the bank for a long time. But they were making history because Marianne Smith, who was the CFO, was going to take his place. And I think it's very, very unusual in the banking industry for a woman to be, heading up a bank. I don't know why, but here it is, 175 years of history. She is the president. She's been with the bank for, I think, about 10 years. But before that, she started as a teller in the 80s. So
Great story.
Isn't that a nice story?
Yeah, good to see it.
Yeah, so actually, technically she took over on August the 1st, which I believe was a Sunday, but
banking, usual hours for a bank. Yeah.
But we wish her really well. I think it's a really nice, wonderful move for the bank. Certainly they didn't pick her because she's a woman, but it's really nice that she happens to be a woman.
Very nice. Okay, we were lucky enough to get advanced copies of the cricket this week. We have some beautiful pictorials, right? Let's start off with the fishing tournament.
Oh my gosh, the fishing tournament. I mean, I remember the fishing tournament before they stopped doing it about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was such a loved tradition. And it's been back now. Last year they did it for the first time. I don't know if you remember, they kind of did it in the middle of COVID and they had these sort of COVID adaptions. It also hadn't been, they shut it down for some reason. It was brought back by Sally and Nate Berkowitz. And then also the Yutkins family, Christina Yutkins. They're all friends. The Yutkins family has sort of a charter fishing service, so they're kind of in that. They're lovers of. They're anglers, so they brought it back, and it was really popular this year. They've kind of they've modernized it a little bit. They really emphasize sort of the environmental part of it, the species. You know, they'll say that, and then how many fish were caught, because a lot of it is catch and release. So they caught over 300 fish representing 12 different species. There are keepers though. You know, you were allowed under law, I mean, the rules to have a keeper, but the biggest fish was not a keeper because it's, you know, if you have, because of slotting, that's slot rule. But the biggest fish was caught by Paul Crean, 41.5 inches. He happens to be my husband's godson, so.
Aww.
Anyway, but everyone had a great time. And then they had a wonderful award ceremony at Tux Point, which is, they didn't do last year, but they used to do it back in the day. And it's a nice sort of community event at Tux Point at the Chowder House. And it was fantastic. They had a really good time. It kind of made you feel like things were a little back.
Awesome. Well, fish tacos on you next time we hang out, Erika.
I had striped bass last weekend.
Okay, and lastly, the Historical Museum has a really cool display happening right now.
Yeah, I would actually encourage people to go down there. It's actually open through September, so I think mid or late September. So you got plenty of time. But it's it's a great exhibit of the original schools of Manchester. And there were 4 school districts originally in Manchester, believe it or not. They were kind of melded into one school district. And then, of course, 20 years ago, our school district was melded in with Essex, and we're now together. But there were 4 kind of school dame they assigned to each one of them, starting in 1736. And there were some amazing schools. The John Price School, of course, everyone remembers the Story School. There were 3 schools, I believe, on Bennett Street, that one site on Bennett Street where Story High School was. They kind of had 3 of them over the years, but it was really interesting. It's a fantastic display. We have a nice tease on it in the paper, a full page story on it. So it's really nice.
And there was a Kettle Cove School too, right? Or a Cove School. Yeah, I remember when it turned into a breakfast place, like in the 80s for a little bit, right along 127. It was called Cove School. That was
kidding.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
There was also Newport, the Newport School District, which I believe was West Manchester. West Manchester used to be known as Newport.
What's West Manchester? It looks like it's all woods over there to me, right?
No. Well, actually, it's funny. You say you think of woods and I think of water. It's so funny. It's just a matter of whether you're looking to the right or to the left. Beverly Farms.
Right. Various school over there right now.
Yeah, the West Manchester Woods would be sort of Brookwood, that back Brookwood area.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then West Manchester, the reason I think of the water is because there used to be a train station, the West Manchester train station, and it was on Boardman Avenue.
Oh, 6 schools and 2 train stations. Is that right?
3 train stations, I believe, weren't there? Oh no, one of them was Magnolia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Same road though. Cool. Yeah. All right, interesting stuff as always, Erika. We will have a great week and we'll catch up with you soon.
Bye guys, great to see you.
Bye, thank you.